Okay, guys, so hopefully you guys are, excuse me, online. Yep, there we go. There we go. So guys, yes, like I said in the comment section, this is a complete test. I'm trying to find options to be able to communicate with you guys a little bit better. So this is one of the tests, and here we go. Looks like we got something going on here. And we do. So the purpose of this is to see whether this will work for you guys. So please feed me back some comments, whether you can see me okay, whether you can hear me okay. Okay, so I got a call from ServBot42. Love your work. You're my teacher outside of school. That's pretty neat. And I got Marco online, Nathan. Ah, fantastic tree. Well, thanks, guys. Series on how to make a 15 or 20 minute animation film. Well, that would be a huge series. For any one of you that have ever did that, you would know that that is months of work. Okay, so let's just see if I got any questions from you guys. Yeah, everything seems to work okay. So would you guys like me to do this on a regular basis? Let's say, I don't know, once every few weeks or so, and do that with a specific topic? Okay, so I got a question. What do I do besides YouTube? By Seol Hyun's husband. I probably just slashed that, but okay. So besides doing YouTube videos, I model 3D objects for customers, and that could be for TV commercials. For I did some work for the BBC for a children's animated TV show. Let's see, I work for local businesses, I do 3D logos, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So quite a lot of activity going on here, pretty cool. Let's see what we got. Yeah, would love more live videos, that's cool, by Niels Janssens. Sounds Scandinavian to me. Let me know, Niels. Are you from Scandinavia? Somebody says that they are seeing a black screen. Do you guys see me okay? Just let me know. Oh, so Niels is from Belgium. So that's cool. Hi, Niels. So I see a lot of yes, yes, yes. Is that yes, I can see you, or yes, it's a black screen? Everything works fine. Oh, that's cool. All right. Good. So guys, any questions specifically related to 3D modeling, 3D animation, the tutorials I have been doing? Ask me some questions. Is it a good option to use Maya for architectural modeling, or maybe 3ds Max? Well, the thing is, 3ds Max is used more often, specifically for interiors. I wouldn't necessarily say architectural, but especially interiors. And I'm not too familiar with 3ds Max, but I think the main reason is that there are better scaling tools in 3ds Max when you have to model specifically to scale. So yeah, I would say that it would be a better approach than using Maya, but that said, it's kind of a personal preference, I guess. So I get a question. What's your favorite renderer? And what's my favorite 3D software? And why am I bald? Oh, that's a good one. Okay, we'll start with the first one. So my favorite renderer, I would have to say it's kind of a battle between RenderMan and Mental Ray right now. Up until my 2016, Mental Ray was a default, and then they switched to Arnold. I'm not a huge fan of Arnold, although NVIDIA has released Mental Ray for Maya 2017, and I've been a beta tester on that. I really, really like the results coming from RenderMan. I think they came a long way. So I really love that. So I would have to say right now, RenderMan. So what's my favorite 3D software? Well, that kind of depends on what you mean by 3D software. When it's purely about modeling, I definitely would have to say Maya, but I think if you know my channel, you would know that. In addition, if we look at texturing, my new favorite would definitely be Substance Painter, but I also work with 3D Code and Keyshot a lot. Okay. All right, so why am I bald? Well, I'm bald because I shave my head. Okay, so let's see, what else? I agree Arnold is a bad integration. Okay, well, that's the comment here. Let's see, I have a problem rendering high quality renders using image-based lighting. It takes a huge amount of time compared to using a bunch of directional and area lights with portals and without. And that is a question from Delinska. I hope I pronounced that right. Well, the thing with image-based lighting using HDRI image is that the scene is lit by lighting information coming from your HDRI image, and that involves a lot of calculations. And if you then have a lot of specular information, let's say shiny objects in your scene, then the calculations take forever. So that is pretty much why that is. Okay. So how long have I been using Maya? That would be about 6 years now. Let's see what else. Let's see, can you do more complex modeling examples? Okay, well, that's a good question. And my question to you guys is, well, that all depends on what you believe to be more complex modeling. Because one has difficulties modeling a cube and the other has no difficulties at all modeling a Ferrari. Okay, so what would you guys like to see related to more complex modeling? So I get a comment from Sergio. Hola, hola. Well, I don't speak Spanish. I do know what hola means, so and I say it all the time for some reason. So hola, back to you, Sergio. Let's see. Character. Okay. So I get a lot of questions to model characters, and I actually never do. I never do characters. It's just not my thing. There are a lot of people out there that do characters. They're way, way better at it than I am. And I typically don't, because I tend to specialize in props. So weapons, tables, chairs, that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it says, I think Sergio is Brazilian. Okay, could be. Sure about that. Have I ever worked for ILM? I wish. No, I have not. Obviously, ILM is very, very famous, and that's kind of a question that I get a lot too. People that are studying to become a 3D artist kind of have this idea that they will want to work for either Pixar or DreamWorks, and that's pretty much their end goal. Well, I can tell you that a very, very limited amount of people make that happen. And for the other 99.9%, we make a living doing what we love to do for whoever is willing to pay us to do that. Okay? So let's see. I get a comment that says, please answer, but the questions are popping over my screen so fast that it's kind of hard to see what that was about. So hang on. Let's see. Do you ever work for animation companies? I mostly do freelance work. Let's see. Hi from Italy. Hi there. Average number of polygons considered low or high poly model. Good question. First of all, you kind of need to establish whether it's for a still render, so a single image shot, or for an animation. When it's for an animation, you need to consider, will it be a one-time render, for example, an animation like in a movie, or will it be basically real-time rendering for a game environment? And if it's a game environment, you need to consider, will it be a game environment for, let's say, a mobile environment, so a game on your cell phone, or let's say a game environment on a console, okay? So depending on the poly count, and I'll give you an example, let's say a weapon, something like that. If it's for a mobile game, you will try to keep it extremely low, so maybe 200-300 faces max. If it's for a console game, I would be in a range of, let's say, 1500. And if it's for an animated movie, you have a little bit more poly count budget. So hopefully that answers the questions. Okay. Is topology important for 3D models? Topology is extremely important for 3D models. It's actually the most important thing. It's important to have a clean topology. You need to avoid n-gons, and probably there will be some people out there not knowing exactly what n-gons are, and if so, let me know. But it's a question of having quads or triangles, and avoiding n-gons, and specifically trying to keep a clean edge flow and face flow, okay? So let's see. We can say Lord of the Rings ring. I actually did a video on that. How do you get customers as a freelance 3D artist? That's a question from Jason. Again, that's something that's that I get asked a lot. You need to start by building a proper portfolio. So people need to be able to find you. I would recommend opening up a page on ArtStation, which is free and kind of the go-to place for artists. And I would build a very strong portfolio for yourself. So only post your very best work, try to describe what you did in that scene, put in multiple shots per render. So do an ambient occlusion pass, do a wireframe pass, your beauty pass and so forth. Write down what type of software you used, etc. So people will kind of figure out what you can do as an artist. Second, build your network. Now, I found that not too many artists are on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys know LinkedIn, but it's more like a business network platform. Call it like a business type Facebook. But network is everything. You need to know people, people need to know you, and once you established a relationship with people because you did something for them, if you did a good job, they will call you again in the future. So that's how that works. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, so the World War II model tutorials were a great help. Well, thanks, Chris. Let's see, where do you see Unity now that it's capable of high quality real-time render? Well, it's not specifically Unity, it's just a trend in general, where obviously computers and consoles are getting stronger and faster every day. So I don't think that is the main issue, that it's Unity, but everybody is into PBR texturing nowadays because systems can support it. And what I think is a very exciting development is that we're seeing a lot more crossover towards traditional feature films. In the past, you had a lot of CGI type activity in movies, and nowadays you will see that people will actually be completely replaced in certain scenes by CGI. That is mainly because of the system capabilities and the software capabilities, so I'm kind of wondering how that will pan out. Okay, any other questions? Let's scroll back a little bit here. Best Advice for a New Starter by Shockwave. The best advice that I would try to give is think very hard up front what your goal is. It's not really feasible to learn everything at once. Okay, so you could say, okay, I want to learn how to model, texture, rig, animate, and so forth. Based on the quote unquote limited skills that you will have after a certain amount of time, people will probably not hire you because of that specific knowledge. So there are kind of two ways you can go here. One common thing in the industry is a T model artist, which means that they have a lot of knowledge, a lot of areas where they have some knowledge, and one area where they have a lot of knowledge. So that's that T-shaped model. So you could be very good at modeling, but know, a little bit about texturing, rigging, and so forth. So you need to decide, are you going to specialize or do you want to be a generalist? But regardless of what education you do, regardless of what training you have, when you land your first job, you're probably going to start off being the guy that gets the coffee and cleans up and so forth. And you will have to pay your dues and work your way up in the location that you're working. Okay? Let's see, what else, guys? Let's see, what export preset to use in Substance Painter for Mental Ray? Well, I did a video on that actually. I don't think I did that specifically on Mental Ray, but when you use Substance Painter, you have a lot of profiles that you can use to export your texture maps, and Mental Ray, being that it's absent from Maya 2017, is not listed there. So depending on the Mental Ray material that you're using in Maya, you need to define what type of slots are available. Let's say you use the classic MIA underscore material X. If you use that in Mental Ray, then you will, for example, have a specular map, a normal map, and so forth. So you kind of walk through the Mental Ray material plugins and decide which ones you want to populate with a texture map that you have created in Substance Painter. And based on that, you can kind of hand create a config in Substance Painter, and that will allow you to export the right maps. Okay? So hopefully that answered that question. Let's see, what else? Do I prefer procedural texturing over image-based? I do. Absolutely. Probably because you can do so many cool things nowadays with PBR texturing, and if you want to work in a layered fashion, in a layered non-destructional fashion, it's really time consuming, and PBR allows you to work much faster, but also you can pretty much real time see the result. So that's why I like it. Let me see here. So it's best to manually choose them. That's probably related to what I was just explaining about those Substance Painter export files. Yes, correct. Does a company usually only own one program like 3ds Max, or do they have more than one software for the same job? That's a question from Anton Christensen. Depends a lot on what you mean by company. If you're talking about an animation studio, for example, some animation studios like Pixar have developed their own software, and they typically do so because they have a challenge in a certain movie where they have to achieve an effect, and there's no software available to do that, and then they will go out and create their own software. And then after the project is done, they will probably make that software commercial and sell it or make it available to the rest of the world. That is what, for example, happened with RenderMan. Okay, so but if you're talking about like an advertisement company that does some 3D work, they will probably have totally different types of software and probably much less. So it completely depends on what environment. Okay. So let's see, what else? Any new questions, guys? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, so do you like Windows 10? Um, Actually, I do. I'm not unhappy about it, but nowadays, when it comes to operating systems, I'm not too thrilled about what it is as long as it works, right? I mean, it just has to do what it's supposed to do, and other than that, I'm not really too worried about it. Okay? Yeah. Let's see what else. I want to know about Rebus Farm. Okay. Well, what do you want to know about Rebus Farm? Let me know. Sorry if you hear that noise in the background, guys. That's my phone ringing. Okay. So while I'm waiting for that Rebus Farm response, let's see. How many persons do you need to make a feature film? Well, if you call a feature film a movie that is, let's say, an hour and a half long, which is 90 minutes times 60 seconds times roughly 30 frames per second, you are talking about a tremendous amount of work. And that can go up from hundreds of people to thousands of people. Okay? Let's see. How much money should I charge for an interior modeling? Well, that totally depends on the level of modeling. If your next door neighbor needs a rough layout for his living room so he knows that he can put his new couch into the room, you could do that for 20 bucks. If you have an advertisement company asking you to do an interior for a magazine, depending on how complex it is, and you're working on this for, let's say, 2 or 3 days, it can be $3, $4, $5, $6,000. Okay. Let's see. I often run into this problem where I create edge loops to create sharp edges, but I don't want them to be around all of the model. Is there some way to make those edges smooth, or I just have to move the edges? Okay, that's a question by Martin. Well, first of all, you don't always have to have edges go all the way around your object. You can also use the modeling toolkit and then go in and use the multi-cut tool. So you can go from point to point and add edges that way. Be aware that you will have to be careful for n-gons, but that's one way. If you don't want to delete your edges, you can also go in and soften your edges, and then you won't see them that much in your render. Okay. Okay, so I got the feedback on the Rebus Farm, and that's a question by Abdullah. He's asking me about the service of Rebus Farm. I recently did a video on that where I did my render on their platform instead of on my PC, and it went quite fast, so that's cool. How that basically works is you set everything up on your system as if you were going to hit that render button to, for example, batch render your animation or render an individual image. And instead of hitting that render button, you're going to upload that sequence to their system, and they will render that for you, and you will get the output back. Now, they charge money for that, obviously, and that depends on how long it takes. You can do a test calculation to find out, how much that would be. So that's pretty much how that works. Okay. Let's see. Can I send a link of a picture in here? Well, that's a good question. Like I said in the description, this is the first time ever that I did this, so I have no idea. Maybe there are some people that know how to do this. Okay. Right, guys, considering that this is a test broadcast, I'm just going to round this up by answering one more question, and then we'll call it a day. But please let me know if you guys have ideas on future live streams. Please send an email or a comment. And, okay, let's see. We'll do one more. Can you make a video about different modeling styles? For example, Blizzard's way to do environments versus Pixar's way. Okay. I could. A problem there is that I don't see where the benefit is in doing that, because every artist will develop their own style. Basically, somebody told me once modeling is moving around vertices, edges, and faces. Well, yeah, that's true. But the technical skill is not what makes you a good artist. What makes you a good artist is the ability to put an emotion in or create an emotion with the viewer of your work. Okay guys, well that's pretty much it for this session. Please let me know if you enjoyed it and if you want me to do this more often. And that said, thank you guys for watching and see you guys next time. Bye. Heel even wachten, ik ben over 5 minuten terug, ja? Doei.